Good day, good people. It's AT Malone, the first of my name because the second is already here. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more videos from your boy. Now, I am starting this video about an hour behind due to the fact that it is summertime. My son is out of school, so now we are going to the gym early in the morning, guys, which means that your boy has to do 2 to 3 times a week in the AM. But I'm built different. This is what I'm made to do, and I've been doing this for a very long time. Plus, as you see that right here? See that? Your boy voted once again for the runoff for the Republican Party. Yes, I did not stutter. I did not make any mistakes. Yes, I vote Republican. And the funny thing about my experience today is, as soon as I walked in, I saw exactly where, the Democrats vote and the Republicans vote. And of course, I walk to where the Republicans are, and there's, like 4 elderly white ladies, right? And let me tell you guys something. All white ladies are some of the sweetest ladies that you will ever come across. Real talk, guys. And as soon as I walked up to the table, of course, one of the ladies was like, I just have to tell you that, there's 2 lines. There's a Democratic line and there's a Republican line. So just letting you know, and you know what I said? I said, I'm right where I need to be, right? And you could just see the expression on these women's faces. And then they started giving your boy compliments. Oh my gosh, I love your tattoos, yada, yada, yada. And guys, if you've ever been in those type of situations where you're around older white ladies, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, they give me my ballot, I sign the paperwork, show ID, go through the whole process and vote, right? But I say that to say this, guys. Listen, you might hear a lot of false propaganda about how all white people think this one way and they treat you this way and they are all racist, and it's just not true. Once you get out and about and you live a little, you'll realize that a lot of these stereotypes are not true. Yes, there are bad apples in every culture. In Black culture, white culture, Hispanic culture, Asian culture, Middle Eastern culture. You have good and bad people all around. But if you carry yourself with class, you don't look the stereotype, you talk, you speak, you communicate with intelligence, people look at you differently. Like, I am comfortable in my own skin so much that I'm good anywhere I go, guys. Real talk. I can go to a predominantly white establishment and be comfortable. I could go to a predominantly Hispanic establishment and feel comfortable. Asian, we can go down the line, right? Because I have the confidence and I have the class and I have the intelligence to communicate and treat people well, okay? I'm not this old ghetto guy that's walking around with his pants sagging, the stereotype that people will profile from time to time. No. And this is why you got to grow out of that mentality, guys. And yes, I used to be one of those guys that's walking around with my pants sagging, goals in my grill, gun on. I used to do all of that bullshit, right? But as I've gotten older and I matured, and once I started cleaning myself up, you realize that people treat you completely different than they did back then. So, guys, just make sure that, yes, you're going to go through phases in life, right? But once you grow up, you start realizing that the world is bigger. Stereotypes are exactly what they are. They are earned, but that does not mean that you have to be the stereotype. And you, as a person who is absorbing life experiences, you start not stereotyping people once you get around a certain group of people and have that interaction with them. So just make sure you keep your, eyes open and have a level of understanding that, people who judge other people without talking to them and communicating with them, that's just a phase until you actually get in front of them and have a conversation. All right. And also get out there and vote, especially if you are one of those people that do not like the way that the United States or your city or your state, the direction that it's going. Exercise your right, especially black people, okay? Our ancestors fought for the right for us to be able to stand at the polls next to white people. So if you are not voting as a black person, you are doing a disservice to your ancestors, all right? Well, your boy done cooked up for 5 minutes on this freestyle thoughts this week, but I had a lot to say. But we on to the main event of the afternoon, because it is like 1 something in the afternoon. We are on the richest man who ever lived, King Solomon's Secrets to Success, Wealth, and Happiness. And we are on part 2 of chapter 14, titled Defeating the Enemy of Happiness and Success. Now, last week, we talked about the attitude that precedes a fall, and you can't beat an enemy you do not understand. Now, this week, we are going to talk about the consequences of pride. The first one we're going to discuss is no hope for lasting happiness. In Proverbs 26:12, Solomon wrote, seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope for a fool. In other words, a person whose conceit makes him think that he is better or smarter than he is has less hope of gaining anything of true worth in life than a fool. Now, we all have set aside advice that people have given us, and we have said, you know what, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. They haven't lived my experience. They're an outsider, speaking about a situation that they've never experienced or encountered. We all done it. We've all had homeboys who have told us, hey dog, do not mess with that girl. She is bad news. Speaking from experience as well. And I've done that with some of my boys too. And what do? Hard-headed, prideful asses. We too busy, fixated on the ass or whatever, and we ignore it. And then we end up putting ourselves in a bad situation, getting caught up in a situation with that woman that we should not have been in the first place, right? We have done this over and over again, even when it came to like purchasing certain things, right? When I bought my first Infiniti, my mom was completely against it. She was like, don't do it. This is not a good deal. And what did I do? I bought the thing, and I had some buyer's remorse for a long period of time, because I could have got that same vehicle, through my credit union for a cheaper price. But I was being hard-headed. I didn't want to listen, and it bit me in my ass. So guys, we have to realize that once we do mature, we'll sit back and we'll think about all of the good information, the good advice. People were trying to, help us avoid a bad decision, and we were being too prideful because we thought we knew it all, right? And we ended up getting put in a terrible situation because of it. So we got to be mindful of making sure when people give us information, we at least take it with a grain of salt instead of completely ignoring it. All right. Now, conflict. If you are in a relationship in which arguments seem to break out of nothing, it's a sign that you or the other person has a problem with pride. According to Solomon, a proud person doesn't just attract contention, he or she causes it. He that is of a proud heart stirs up strife. Now, Solomon went so far as to say that pride is the primary source of contention. The person ruled by pride is validated only when others agree with his or her points of view. He sees disagreement as a personal affront to his esteem. As a consequence, any disagreement must be attacked. Now, have you ever encountered somebody that just wants to argue just to argue, or you come up with a brilliant idea, or you reached a particular milestone, and because maybe they haven't achieved that milestone, they didn't come up with that idea, they just automatically shoot it down, they try to discard it, they try to minimize it because they wish that they were in that position that you were in? Well, guess what? That's been the story of my life, from friends, from family members, because I have reached a certain point in my life that they could never achieve. They could never imagine being there. They didn't think that I would even reach that point. And whenever I'm happy about it, or I'm so excited to present, whatever idea or whatever milestone I came up with, they just shoot that shit down. You want to know why? It's because they're prideful, guys. And once you realize that that is the reasoning and the inspiration behind why they are reacting that way, then you can choose to continue that relationship with them, or you can say, you know what, I'm gonna separate myself from them. And I advise you guys to separate yourself from them, because sooner or later they are going to throw you under the bus. They're going to stab you in the back, and they are going to honestly be very disloyal to you. They really are. Friends, family, I'm telling you, lived it, experienced it, not going back to it. Real talk. Now, a downfall. In Proverbs 18:12, Solomon warns, before his downfall, a man's heart is proud. We cannot let one successful outcome or decision to cause us to become arrogant, because eventually it leads to our downfall. Now, I tell guys this all the time, and this is speaking from a playboy bachelor guy. Yes, it's fun running the streets, having your way with women, having multiple roster, all of that bullshit, right? But I will tell you guys this. Once you find that one, because that's all you really need if you are a very productive guy. You find a woman that is beautiful, that you're equally yoked with, that listens, that's going to follow your lead, that, is just a all-around good woman, potential mother of your future children. You gotta hang up your jersey, guys. You do, because it's not a lot of good women all around walking around this planet Earth. Real talk. So when you find one, you gotta keep her, man. Even in the Bible, it says what? He that findeth a good wife finds a good thing. So you got to make sure that, listen, you got to cash out at the casino, guys, figuratively, literally, because even if you're at the casino and you done doubled your money, cash out and get the hell up out of there. But so many people like to stay in the casino to see how far they can run it up, and they end up, guess what, letting the pride get the best of them, and they end up losing everything. So you got to remember when to cash out. I'm telling you, cash the hell out so you can go live your life full of happiness, joy, and prosperity. All right. Now, disgrace and humiliation. Let's make sure that I'm on the right. Yeah, we good. All right. In Proverbs 11:2, Solomon writes that when pride rears its head, then comes disgrace. A man's pride will bring him low, he claims. Solomon gives us a choice, a simple choice. In any given situation, we can let humility or pride guide our decisions and behaviors. When we allow our pride to rule, painful humiliation usually follows. Now, nobody likes being humiliated or looking like a fool. I don't know one person that likes looking like a fool or being humiliated, but it is very necessary, because you have to understand how pride can have both positive and negative impacts in your life, guys. It's like this. People in school that just winged it, right? Didn't study for tests, quizzes, none of those things. And then whenever they failed those tests and their quizzes, they're just upset, and they're looking stupid because they're failing class. But then you go back and you say, dog, you did not study for the test, did you? No, I didn't study. I thought I grasped the understanding. No, everybody knows that the reason why you take notes in class is why you can revert back to them so you can study for the tests and quizzes that's going to happen in the near future. But we have so many people that do not practice, that do not train for things that they know that they got like an upcoming game coming up, right? And they're not pushing themselves to the limit. And then whenever they play these games, or if they're in practice and they're not giving it all they got, and the game comes and they're wondering why they're sitting the bench or they're not getting a lot of playing time, well, the coach is seeing that you're not putting in work during practice. So why the hell would he put you out there on the court during a game if you are not displaying work ethic, you're not displaying skills, you're not displaying anything that you need in order to be victorious, to help your teammates out? When you just at practice lollygagging, when y'all are running suicides, you in last place all the time, you're not giving it your all, you're just missing shots because you're not practicing even at home or going to the gym outside of practice with your teammates. No, you always have to make sure that you prepare so you do not look, like a fool, or you do not humiliate yourself because you're not doing the work in the background to make sure that you are prepared for your tests, your exams, or your grades. Now, we're moving on to separation from God. If you are a true atheist, you won't worry about this consequence, which is true. You don't believe in God. Why do you care about being separated from God? But for believers and agnostics, this is without a doubt the most serious consequence of pride. In Proverbs 15:25, Solomon warns, the Lord will tear down the house of the proud. And in Proverbs 16:5, he writes, everyone who is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Surely he will not be unpunished. How would you like God to consider you an abomination? I would not want God to look at me as an abomination and promise to punish you and destroy your heritage. That's deep. That's what Solomon says will be the ultimate destiny of the proud and arrogant. Now, Solomon doesn't say God's punishment will be administered quickly or even in a person's lifetime. If God exists and is truly eternal, as Solomon believed, then he has all eternity to exact his punishment because Solomon's pride and the choices he made. He lost everything he valued during his life, but his kingdom and heritage were not until after his death. And this is why they say we pay for the sins of our fathers, guys. Y'all see that we pay for the sins of our fathers. They don't say we pay for the sins of our mothers. And that lets you know right now, men have the greatest impact, whether it's just being an individual man, a man's purpose on this earth, even in family. Anything that we do, we are going to get punished for it. Trust me. I'm paying for the sins of my father right now. And my son will probably pay for my sins when he gets older. Actually, he's paying for some of them right now. That's just the fact of the matter. And this is why we have to be very mindful of our actions that we make every single day, because they directly affect our offspring. I have to minimize the amount of sin that I do, guys, because if it don't hit me in my lifetime, it's gonna hit him or my future children. So this is why you gotta do your best to live right. Think about it. If you steal something, right? You commit a crime and you get away with it. Well, your pride is gonna tell you, I got away with it. Everything is all good, right? No, it's not. Because if you have offspring, if you built an empire, guess what? If it don't hit you in your lifetime, guess what's going to happen? In the future, your kid's going to pay for it. You might have built a multi-million-dollar empire, right? That you might have schemed. You might have did some dirty deeds, bad business practices, and you leave it to your children. Well, guess what's going to end up happening? God's going to come back and say, listen, I owe you this punishment for what you did, and completely bring your multi-million-dollar empire down to zero. Bankrupt that shit. And that's why we have to be careful about our actions and the things that we do today, so we do not pay for it tomorrow or have our kids pay for it in their lifetime. All right. Well, that is all I got for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this Tuesday content. Do your boy a favor. Like the video, sub to the channel, continue watching this because it takes a lot to do, man. I gotta sit here, clip, edit, get dinner ready, and this one off to practice tonight. Hope you guys liked it, and I will catch y'all later.
Feel like they trying to box me in, so I keep a small circle around me, so fuck friends. I kept it real out the gate, these other cats pretend. Reigning supreme is something